the Jews have always had a spot in the hot seat. My name is Rachel Rye. I wrote about Nazi nurses, The Oath Gone Wrong. Around 1933, the Jews would relive what they read about in the Bible with their ancestors. The people from the Bible stories that we can read were slaves, ran away from armies, were threatened with death, and they were going to have to relive this all over again. But what we learned is they weren't only reliving just little pieces. It was going to be a long, drawn-out few years, and that during this time they were going to be mistreated, and a lot of things that were going to happen to them were going to be pretty rough. Nurses and medical doctors did not understand that they were going to have to pay for the consequences of what they had done. They didn't understand that eventually they were going to get caught and that what they were doing was unethical. It was not okay to inject people with sterilization serums. It wasn't okay to try to sew together a Siamese twin. It wasn't okay to try and take someone and throw them underwater and see how long it would take them to die and then try to revive them. These things weren't, when you do research, you're supposed to make sure that the patient is not unnecessarily harmed. And it wasn't until the 1950s when the Newman drug trials came about that they actually went into effect with a set of rules that was nationally accepted as we need to make sure we are doing all we can do to help science and further things, but also keep the patient safe. Some of the things that I came up with that were very interesting what happened to be that the Jews that were doctors and nurses were forced to work in some of these concentration camp hospitals. One particular doctor that I can remember, her name was Gazella Pearl, and she was made to actually do things during the day at the hospital, but at night, because her heart was for the people of the Jewish community so much, she would actually go and to save the women that were going to be experimented on if they found that these women were pregnant. She actually would perform abortions by hand. She didn't have any material. She would just use her hands to do what she could do to help the woman not be pregnant any longer. Some of the walls that I came up with across doing the things that I had to do would be that a lot of these medical things, because they are medical files, you have to pay to read them. You can't just open a medical file and, oh, I can read this. You had to actually go and research, and once you found what you wanted, it was like $20, $15, $30 just to view a paper. So finding things, about the doctors and nurses that were honest and not Wikipedia or things like that was really hard. So I had to dig really deep, but I did find exactly what I needed to find. Overall, doing the argumentative research paper was really fun. Learning about the Holocaust has been, it's been more interesting. Some of the things that I had learned from a different semester to what I've learned now about the doctors and nurses was a very, very interesting experience for me, and I'm glad I was able to do it, and I hope everyone had a great semester.